Today, on the 10th of May, we are celebrating the 10th World Migratory Birds Day. It's a very special day and we can celebrate it in many ways, but perhaps the simplest way to appreciate how important bird life is to us all, to the planet, to our ecosystems and to nature, is to step outside for a moment, close your eyes and just listen, or look up at the sky. The threat to migratory birds has become a great preoccupation, both for conservationists but also increasingly for nation-states and communities. We are aware of the threat to migratory bird species that is beginning to grow exponentially across the planet. Whether it's the 25 million birds that are killed every year when they migrate across the Mediterranean, or whether it is the poisoning and also as a result of the food chain, the impact on bird species across the world of modern chemicals and chemical and hazardous waste substances that have also become a threat to many bird species. To us in the United Nations Environment Programme, World Migratory Bird Day is a moment in which to understand that sometimes it is also important to not only focus on the great megafauna species, on those that are on the front pages of newspapers and on the evening news of television channels. Birds are small creatures, but in their billions across the planet, they are part of our living planet, of our heritage and therefore of our responsibility. The illegal trade in wildlife is an issue that we in the United Nations have come to take ever more seriously. Indeed, in the month of May, here in Nairobi, Kenya, at our headquarters, the United Nations Environment Assembly will meet once again, and the illegal trade in wildlife will be a key focus of the discussions amongst ministers and many of the stakeholders who will be with us in Nairobi. The initiatives that we can take through the conventions, but also through resolutions and above all through actions at the national level, whether it is a local community that preserves a wetland or a bird habitat, national legislation that prevents and also stops the illegal trade, killing and taking of migratory birds and indeed of other species of wildlife, is a critical part of arresting and reversing a trend that has been all too prevalent over the last 100 years. Let me also remind you that what is sometimes in spring viewed as the arrival of the swallows in Europe, the swallows of European culture, history and tradition, becomes a few months later in the spring in South Africa, the swallows of South Africa, and therefore the harbinger of springtime and also a signal of a healthy environment in which we as people have taken our responsibility as custodians of nature seriously. Under the international initiatives, there is also now an intergovernmental commission that will look at the illegal taking and trading of migratory bird species, particularly in the Mediterranean. It's one example of governments also taking seriously both the scientific evidence but also our public sentiment. We must care about nature, and it is our responsibility to not close our ears to the silence in the skies or indeed shut our eyes to the fact that there are today on this planet thousands of threatened bird species. So on World Migratory Birds Day, I invite you to join us, a global community of environmentalists but also just of responsible citizens who care about something that we have come to take for granted, but that maybe with every year that passes we will have less of. Thank you very much.